All right. Shalom, Israel. You live with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Priest and Captain Soccer will hold down a class live from Memphis, Tennessee. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have classes here in Memphis from 6 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Since 1969, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge has been teaching so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians descend from the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. The Bible identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And in the year 2025, there's nothing more important than for God's chosen people to learn the truth of who we are, where we come from, and what our purpose is on the earth. So what we like to do with these classes is give brothers and sisters an opportunity to go into this book called the Bible, to gain the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that the Most High is placed therein, in order for us to come back to being the people He called us to be and to reclaim our righteous place on the earth as kings, priests, princesses, and daughters of Zion. So what I like to do with these classes is open it up, open the class up to questions. If any brothers and sisters have any questions, all you have to do is type them in the chat. If you're in the classroom, raise your hand, and a teacher will call on you. If there are no questions online or in the classroom, we're going to go on to tonight's topic, which is a house divided. All right. A house divided is the topic of tonight's class. And what I'm going to tonight is I'm going to stay with the theme of talking about the current events that are taking place in this country called America today, particularly with the division and the discord that is persistent concerning the presidency of Donald Trump and his cabinet choices for the people to lead the country, and the opposition that he's facing right now with the Democrats and the other side, so to speak, of the American power structure. And what I want to do is go into the Bible tonight to give you some scriptures concerning the fate of a house that is divided, and really go into some of the uh, reading between the lines that's necessary in order to really understand what is at the crux of the division that exists in America today. And when I put the caption together for the class, discussed the Civil War that took place in America in the 1800s and the conditions that existed in the country at that time, and how the history books won't tell you about the real issue that was at the core of what led up to the Civil War. Famously, they tell us that the Civil War was fought over slavery. They tell us that the main problem was, the North wanting blacks to be free and the South wanting blacks to stay slaves. And that was the reason why they went to war. When in reality, the reason for the Civil War was simply economic. It had nothing to do with whether slaves were free or if slaves remained in bondage, but it had to do with who was going to be able to capitalize financially off of the existence of this large labor force. And again, primarily what is taking place in this country today, there's a lot of talks about immigration reform. There's a lot of talks about getting people out of the country who are here illegally. And if you're somebody who only focuses on the headlines, you would think that the disagreement in America is between Donald Trump and the people who don't care about immigrants and don't care about the people coming from over the borders that hate them and want to see them go back to their country and suffer and die, and the people who love them so much that they want to have them come over here and give them asylum and have them live, free and clear and clean and have a wonderful life at wonderful chance at the American dream. When in reality, that is not at all the two sides of the immigration argument. The two sides of the immigration argument are people saying these people who are coming over into this country illegally are benefiting from the system we have, where they can get paid, they can get help being poor, being immigrants. There's all types of government programs and government subsidies. They also can get jobs where they're able to get paid and have a decent living, and they're taking jobs away from good Americans. And on the other side, you have people who are saying, why can't they come over here and get these services and benefit from America being a country that is for the masses of all the people, anyone can come here and seek asylum and get help and get assistance, when neither of these people care about the fate or the livelihood of these immigrants. Really, you have a system in place with the government funneling money into the hands of different people who claim to have organizations that help these immigrants and to help the less fortunate and help the poor and to help the people who are downtrodden in this country. And then there's other people who are the super rich who are saying, we're throwing money away and not really being able to capitalize financially because there's so many mouths to feed. All this government money that's going out the window shouldn't be going to these people. It should be going elsewhere. Um, and so I want to go into the scriptures to bring some clarity on what happens when a house is divided, but also to show you how to read between the lines to understand that neither side of this equation in this battle that's taking place in America right now has anything good or beneficial for God's people, for our people. And um, the same predicament that America finds itself in today is the same predicament that other nations have found themselves in, where the children of Israel were present. And the way the Most High told the children of Israel to come out of these other nations that they have been uh, in captivity under, it's the same way He's speaking to us today and showing us through the actions of our oppressor that now is the time for us to gather ourselves together and to seek our own way forward, not to be choosing one side or the other in a house that's burning, a house that's going to be destroyed. All right. So the first scripture we're gonna get to is in the New Testament. Let me get let's get Matthew chapter 12. All right. All right, get Matthew chapter 12, verse 25. All right. It's Matthew chapter 12, verse 25, and it says, and Yahushua says Jesus did, but we use the name of our king in Hebrew. All right, and Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. Everybody understands. This is one of those statements that's, twofold, right? Meaning there's two ways of looking at what Christ is saying here. The first one is by just reading, just seeing exactly what he said. A kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. If there's division within the kingdom, then that kingdom is going to fall apart. It's going to be destroyed, right? And every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. A city or a house that is not on one accord, we're not seeing eye to eye, we're not on the same page, then we're going to fall apart. That applies to your family. It applies to a relationship. It applies to, brotherhood, anything you can think of. If we're not on the same page, we're not on the same accord, then we're going to be divided. We're going to split apart. There's a saying that exists that, together we stand, divided we fall. That comes that comes from right here out of the Bible. On the other hand, another way of looking at it is, um, if we're not gathered together, then or gathering together, then we are splitting ourselves apart. And that's where it's important for our people, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, to really understand the dire straits that we are in this present time. Like right now, seeing that our oppressor is divided we should be reading the tea leaves and seeing that the division that exists today, there is no going back. There is no, reconciling the division that exists in America. There is no bringing together the two parts and making them whole again. And so if there's can be no union or reunion for the two sides that are fighting in America right now, why would we join ourselves to them and be doomed to suffer the fate of what comes when a house is divided? We should be seeing what is going on in America and seeing the division and saying to ourselves that we need to gather ourselves together. While they're fighting and battling on what side of the aisle they're going to stand on, we should be creating, strengthening our house, making sure that our gates are protected and strong and that we are united. And that's exactly what the Most High tells us to do in the Bible. Let's go ahead and get Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1. All right. Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1 says, gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired. Everybody understands. While our oppressor is being divided, now is the time that we should be gathering together. Now is the time that we should be sharing our brotherhood, our sisterhood, and our dedication to the righteousness of the Most High. We should be making sure that we are on the same page, that we are on the same accord. And it's such a difficult thing to do because for so long, our oppressor has been successful by means of keeping us divided. A big part of what's going on with this immigration policy in America is trying desperately to weaken the potential resolve that blacks and Hispanics could have if we came together. Like black people don't even realize that a big part of this immigration thing that's taking place is America is making sure that its enemies remain weak. Like our oppressor is seeing the census demographics. They're seeing that every year, every 5 years, every 10 years, the presence of Hispanics and Latinos in this country is doubling, tripling, quadrupling. And if they don't do something to halt the growth and the progress of these people, then they know that pretty soon Caucasians will be the minority. And it's not so bad that Caucasians are the minority if there's also Asians and Ukrainians and Russians and Italians and French. That's not so bad. The problem is if Caucasians become the minority, then the grouped majority is not just the Latinos. It's not just Mexicans and Hondurans and Costa Ricans and Guatemalans and Puerto Haitians and Dominicans and Brazilians and Argentinians. You have to understand that our oppressor, the Caucasians, do not look at these as separate nations of people. They don't look at Mexicans and Hondurans and Costa Ricans and Guatemalans as people from 4 different nations. They look at them all as Hispanics. They look at them all as Latinos. They don't look at black people from America and black people from Jamaica and from Trinidad and from Haiti and from the Dominican Republic as 5 different nations of black people. They look at them like they're all black. And God forbid if the Caucasians are the minority and all these blacks and Hispanics are the majority, what happens if they come together? What happens if they realize that they have a common enemy? What happens if they recognize that, there's one people that is in the way of us owning this country, of running this land? And it's these red people, it's these Caucasians. Let's just gather together and get them out of the way. That is the threat that is on the forefront of your oppressor's mind. And they know that if they can get rid of these Latinos and get some of these folks to go back to these countries, go back to Costa Rica, Honduras, Guatemala, Venezuela, Mexico, then guess what? It weakens them and it makes sure that they can't click up with these black people that we've been oppressing. A big part of the immigration issue is making sure that the majority of this country remains Caucasian. As the majority of this country remains Caucasian, then there's not the threat of an overthrow by the gathering together and the unionizing of the blacks and the Hispanics. And where can we find that recorded in history? Where can we find that being a threat that was recognized in a previous generation? Let's go ahead and get the book of Exodus. Get the book of Exodus. We're gonna start at verse 1. All right. Exodus chapter 1. And we're gonna read verse 7. All right. All right. If you want to know the history of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians in this place called America, you can read about it in the Bible. You can read about the suffering and the toiling. I mean, it's so-called Black History Month. If there wasn't such a concerted effort to keep us from knowing the truth of who we are and where we come from and what our purpose is, if there wasn't a concerted effort, a giant machine of propaganda and lies and disinformation, then this entire month, every day of the month, we would be talking about the history of the people in the Bible. The entire month of February in America would be biblical heroes month because that's Black history. The real Black history is recorded in the Bible. The truth about the greatness of Black people all over the planet is recorded in the Bible. And it's amazing to me that for all of the learning that Black people do, for all of the searching for our history and our culture, for all of the ways that we found greatness recorded in history of what Black people have done or melanated people have done, to not know that the Bible is written by and for Black people is amazing to me. And it really make me question some of these people that come out as so-called scholars of Black history. That's Tariq Nasheed cat, right? That made them colors videos. I remember when them colors videos first came out. He did a series of documentaries called Colors, where he went into history of different parts of the earth and found that all the origins of those histories were dark-skinned people or melanated peoples, right? I remember the first Colors, I think he went into Japan and found that the first samurai soldiers in Japan were Black, right? And went into uh, Australia, and the history of the Australians, they were all Black, and went to Europe and the history of the Celtics and all these people and found out that, damn, at the core of all civilization, there was dark-skinned people. He made 4 videos of this, of the history of the earth where everybody was Black. How did he not find out that the people in the Bible were Black? Why is that not a focus of a 4-part documentary about great Black history? Is it possible that he was financed and funded by somebody who told him, you could tell Black people about all this greatness all over the planet, but you better not say nothing about them being the Israelites? You better not say nothing about the people in the Bible being Black. And then it just so happens that this is the same man that is at the head of a movement that causes more division among Black people, that causes division among the Blacks and Hispanics, the people who America is afraid of gathering together and joining together today. Coincidence? Perhaps, but I think not. There are a lot of people that are among us in this community, in the Black community. Anyone that rises to prominence or that gets spearheaded into the forefront of, to lead the charge of Black intelligence, or Black self-awareness, you got to really look at them and scrutinize them. Look at them with a careful eye. Because there's a lot of these people that pop up out of nowhere and get famous, and now you're supposed to watch them and follow them. Who's financing them? Who's funding them? Where did they get their money from to be able to put themselves in a position where the spotlight is on them? Because if you go in the history of Black people, you go back into the early 1900s. Go look at the origins. Go look at the financiers behind W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington and Marcus Garvey and Noble Drew Ali and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Martin Luther King, who funded them? Who did they have close ties and close relationships to? Who allowed them? Who helped them to get pushed to the forefront? What was their education? Where did they learn from? What was their political ideology? Go look. Go look at the history of. Go look at Marcus Garvey and tell me politically who did he side with? Go look at Booker T. Washington and who financed him and where was he educated and who who was his mentors. Go look at go look at go look at W.B. Du Bois and find out where was he educated. What was his primary language? What language did he speak other than English? Where did he go to get, educated during the summers? What was his political ideology? And you'll find out if you go do that research and you go reach into these people's histories, you'll find out, oh damn, they weren't randomly put to the forefront of black people. They didn't just happen to rise up to the forefront of black conscious thoughts. No, they were placed there. They were paid. There was somebody behind the scenes pulling the strings to put them in the forefront for black people to say, that's a leader that I should follow. And it's no different today. Go on your internet, go on your Instagram, go on your Facebook, go on your YouTube, and who are the people that are famous in the black community for being outspoken, for having a different way of thinking and seeing things? And who's paying them? Who's financing them? Where did they get their first million from? Or their first $100,000 from? Where did they go to school? What fraternities do they belong to? What organizations do they have affiliations with? What is their political ideology? And you'll find out that what's going on today ain't no different than what's always been going on in this country. Right? And so again, we're at a place right now where as America is divided, with there being no view of them ever coming together, be careful of anyone that's telling you which side you should choose. Be mindful of anybody that's saying, well, black people, well, we need to be siding with these guys or siding with those guys. If they are not saying we need to do what the Most High said to do in separating ourselves from this oppressor and gathering ourselves together, then you got to know that there's somebody you should be skeptical of where they're getting their messaging from. Who are they a talking head for? Who benefits from us following them in the path they're trying to lead us down? Right? Let's go. We're going to go into the Bible and show you it was a civilization or empire that existed that was in a similar state that America is in right now. It was a place full of a lot of immigrants and a lot of people who had, nations who had grown and flourished. And the powers that be in the empire looked around and said, you know what, man, we outnumbered here. So we need to find a way to make sure that we protect ourselves, which is what America is doing right now. And that's what this immigration reform is all about. It's about dwindling the numbers of the blacks and Hispanics in case they wake up one day and decide that they are going to gather together. And instead of being people from Honduras and Costa Rica and Mexico and El Salvador and Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic and Haiti and the Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica and St. Croix, St. Lucia, they'll say, you know what? We are the children of the slaves. We are the children of the people who were conquered, who were murdered, raped, and robbed. Then what are we going to do as the powers that be if they gather themselves together? So before they can even think of that, let's ship some of them off. Let's kick them out and get them out of here. Let's cause the ones that's here legally to say to the ones that's not, man, y'all got to go, man. Y'all wrong. Y'all making us look bad. That's what this division is all about. So let's see what the Bible says about what took place in the previous generation that was in this similar condition. All right, let's go to Exodus chapter 1. Let's get Exodus 1 and 7. All right. Exodus chapter 1, verse 7 says, and the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. That's America. That's North, Central, and South America. That's Mexico and Honduras and Costa Rica and Guatemala and Jamaica and Puerto Rico and Cuba and Haiti and Florida and Georgia and Tennessee and Alabama and Mississippi, New York, Wyoming, Idaho, Chicago, Illinois, Nebraska, Kentucky, Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire. I ain't gonna go to all the damn 50 states. California, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah. The children of Israel grew abundantly and waxed exceeding mighty. You understand? A strong people, a powerful people, multiplying way more than their oppressors. Go look at the birth rates among blacks and Hispanics in this country, and then go look at the birth rates of your oppressor. You want to know what's really at the core of the DEI? You go look at the DEI statistics. The people that were benefiting the most from DEI hires in this country were Caucasian women. And when Caucasian women are being given opportunities in corporate America, and they're being given opportunities to get out of college and to have a degree and to get a good job and to start off a career that's going to be, long lasting and very financially lucrative, you know what they don't have time for? They don't have time for families. They don't have time for getting married and settling down and producing 5 or 6 children. So what happens when white women are being, spearheaded into corporate America and they're no longer settling down and getting married? And they not having no kids. If they not having no kids, then Caucasians are multiplying. If Caucasians are multiplying, then they'll be outnumbered. No, so we got to get rid of DEIs. We got to get these women back to their families. We got to get these women back depending on their husbands. We got to get these women, discourage them from going into the corporate world. Nah, go find you a man who got some money, marry him, and have his children. Then maybe there's a chance that we won't be outbred by all these immigrants, outbred by all these 14th Amendment citizens. If they keep letting everybody who's born in America be a citizen under the 14th Amendment, well, goddamn, all of the children of the immigrants are going to bypass the children of the Caucasians, and then we'll be outnumbered. That's what's at the core of what's going on. That's what's at the real issue of the battle. And at the core of it is a fear of us, a fear of what we'll do. And if we can recognize that, then we shouldn't wait for them to complete their goal. Shouldn't wait for them to fix the issue of us outnumbering them. We should recognize that they're weak and vulnerable, and we should gather ourselves together. But let me keep reading. It's Exodus chapter 1 now, verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. They are looking at the birth rates. They're looking at the racial demographics. They're looking at the census bureaus, and they're saying these blacks and these Hispanics are outnumbering us. If we don't do something now, they are going to be too many more of them than there are us for us to do anything. So what's their plan? Verse 10, come now, come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. We got to get them up out of this land, because what if we go to war with somebody and they decide to side with our enemy? That's the greatest threat to America. Really always has been. Again, go back and look at the financiers of all these great black leaders that you've had in America through our history. Go look at who was really behind Martin Luther King, who was financing him, who was financing Bayard Rustin and Philip A. Randolph, who were behind the March on Washington. Who funded and founded the NAACP? What was the race of the people that founded the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People? Who were the first chair members of the NAACP? What race were their fathers? Where did they go to school at? Where did they get their education? What was their political ideology? You go and it don't take a lot to just look into people's backgrounds and you'll find out, damn, hold on now. Well, what did these people have to gain from Martin Luther King and what he was teaching? What benefit? Why would they? Why would they pay Philip A. Randolph and Bayard Rustin? What made them influential? What made them people to be on the forefront of one of the greatest black movements ever in the country? Who paid for their organization? All the organizing of all the marches? Who bailed all the people out of jail when Martin Luther King and them was doing those marches in Alabama and them marches in Mississippi? They was going to jail, right? For sit-ins and trying to bust people into schools. They was getting locked up going to jail. Who was paying their lawyer fees? Who was making sure they didn't die in that jail or disappear in that jail? Come on, man. They've been dealing wisely with us for a long time. And right now, they're at a place where their solution is to get us up out of the land. How do you get people up out of the land? Immigration, deportation, ICE agents, baby. That's how you get it done. We are living in biblical times. All the same things that have been done to the children of Israel before in the past are being done to the children of Israel right here, right now. Which is why the Bible is necessary for us to understand the solution to the problem that we're facing. The Bible is so necessary to understand how we should be moving and how we should be thinking and what our path forward must be in the midst of a nation that is divided. Remember, a house divided is going to fall. What about a house that is united? A house that is standing strong, a house that is intentional about being together. And guess what? That's a house that's going to be strong. Let me get hold on. Uh hold on. All right, let me get Mark chapter 7. Hold on. In the midst of, everything that's going on, the Bible is so necessary because it gives us a foundation on which to stand. There's a sure, there's a way that if we follow it, a blueprint that if we stick to it, there's no way that we could fall. There's no way that we could falter. There's no way that we could be unsure of what the outcome will be. And the Bible details that. But this scripture here is gonna drive home that point. This is Matthew chapter 7, verse 24. All right. And there's a lot of people out there that are skeptical of the Bible. A lot of people that don't want to, believe that the Bible is true. Those are people who have been violated by religion. They've had religious leaders before. They've had people who were in charge and held the Bible and said the Bible was the word of God. But those people were abusive. Those people, spiritually were wicked. And that's the reason why a lot of people today, won't hear the word of the Lord, because when they see us reading the Bible and they see us talking about the Bible and talking about God, they think about the person that uh, SA'd them, right? Sexually assaulted them. They think about the person that molested them. They think about the person who abused them and took advantage of them. And because of that trauma that they've experienced, they have related that trauma to anybody that's holding the Bible. to anybody that's saying anything about God. Brothers and sisters, you have got to fight through that. Because while whoever it was that may have done something horrible to you or traumatic to you in the past, they may have said that they were a man or a woman of God. They may have said that they believed in Jesus. They may have said that the Bible was the book of the Lord. But what they didn't do, what they never did, was go into the Bible and show you the truth. And our oppressor, our physical oppressor and our spiritual oppressor, has used evil, wicked people who held this book to deter you from ever really understanding the Most High and understanding His Word and why it's so important for us. You brothers and sisters who are in the truth, when you encounter somebody and they shudder at the idea of you pulling out the Bible, or they tell you that they don't want to hear those words out that book, or they just really against anything that's coming out of the Bible, you have to know that, man, that's spiritual. That is someone who has suffered some horrible trauma, and the thought of being healed or delivered is too much for them. It's they're our oppressor and our adversary has done a number on them. And for those people, all you can do is pray for them and ask the Most High to open their eyes and to show them. And there's going to be a lot of people who won't open their eyes. But if you are someone whose eyes have been opened, thank the Most High for that. Because having your eyes open gives you an opportunity to be able to take hold to the truth and allow it to guide your way in these dark times that we're living in. All right. Matthew chapter 7, verse 24 says, "Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house. And it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock." Everybody understands. Building your life on following the word of the Lord, of following the blueprint that was established by our King Yahushua, in gathering a nation together and establishing a community and leading your family and choosing a wife and raising your children. If you follow these sayings, if you do what this Bible says to do, then everything in your life, when the rain comes, when the difficult times present themselves, you are going to know that everything is going to be all right. Because the rain is going to come, and it's going to be stormy, and it's going to be windy, and it's going to be blowing left and right, and it's going to be flood waters, and you're going to see people's houses fall apart. You're going to see people who don't have a solid foundation go out of their mind. You're going to see them do things that they never imagined that they would do just to be able to get by. And while you watch all these people who did not build on a solid foundation be swept away because of the danger, because of the potential hazard, you're going to stand strong. And you're going to weather those storms, and your house is going to remain intact. Why? Because you built upon solid rock. All of these other movements that exist among black people, all of these ideologies and these philosophies, all of these money-making strategies and these financial, nation-building financial schemes that they have, all of it is going to fall apart. All of it is going to come to naught because it's not built on a solid foundation. The only foundation to build on is following the instructions and the words that were given to us by the Most High through His prophets and through our King. Everybody understand? Let's drop that. Let's get back to talking about the oppressor and the division that exists among them. All right. Let me get here we go. We get let's get Jeremiah chapter 50. Hold on. Make sure this is what I'm looking for. Yeah, this is Jeremiah chapter 50. All right. Hold up. Bear with me, bear with me. All right, hold on. Hold on. All right, let's get Jeremiah chapter 50. All right. All right, hold on, hold on. So much in this chapter. Jeremiah chapter 50. I was gonna go straight to the verse that I just pulled. Let me get Jeremiah 50 and 40. Jeremiah 50 and 38. All right. Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 38. All right. Now, again, much of the division that is going on in America right now is due um, to their financial crisis that they are in. And I know a lot is talked about right now. There's a lot being discussed concerning Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency. There's a lot, damn near every night on the news, you're hearing something being said about Elon Musk up there in those government offices, reviewing all of those finances, looking at all of these government contracts and all this money that's going here or there, and he's making cuts. He's shutting off programs and shutting off money that's being distributed and dispersed. And there's a lot of people that's angry and in an uproar. But they're not talking about the real issue, the real problem that exists concerning the finances of this country, which is that there is no money. There is no money for these programs that the country has been shelling out billions and billions of dollars over every year. And there's so much debt and there's so much money that's owed that now that the time has come for the reality of this financial system in this country to be uh, felt by the people. They've got to come up with some kind of excuse, some kind of reason for why eggs is, 50 cents an egg. Go to the grocery store right now. You buy, I think my mother said she went and bought 18 eggs and paid $9. She got a dozen and a half of eggs and paid $9. That's 50 cents an egg. Imagine that. How do eggs become 50 cents an egg? Are there less chickens making babies right now? Is there a drought on chicken sex in the farming industry? The roosters stopped, roostering. Are the chickens no longer laying eggs? No, the roosters are roostering and the chickens are laying eggs. Well, then, if there's not a shortage of eggs, why is the price so expensive? Because the same money that used to buy a carton of eggs for $2, right? Eggs used to be what, 20 25 cents an egg. No, cheaper than that. Hell, how much a carton of eggs used to be? You get 12 eggs for $2, right? Yeah, that means about a quarter egg. If my math is mathing, now it's 50 cents an egg. How does it? How does that happen? Well, your money is half as valuable as it used to be. It's not that there's a shortage on eggs. It's just the money don't have any more worth. Well, what causes the money to not have worth? You oversaturate the system. It's too much money and it doesn't mean anything. So what happens when you have money that doesn't have any value, that can't buy anything? Well, then the whole system begins to dry up and everything that everybody has becomes a lot more harder to come by. What do we call that? When you have Used to have something that was in abundance, but now it's scarce, hard to obtain, hard to get a hold of. We call that a drought. And that is what America is in the midst of, and it's not going to clear up anytime soon. We're in a extreme financial drought. And they can't say that part out loud, so they have to find other ways to distract you from what's really going on. But let's see what the word of the Lord says here in Jeremiah chapter 40, Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 38. All right. Jeremiah 50 and 38 says, a drought is upon her waters, and they shall be dried up. For it is the land of graven images, and they are mad upon their idols. Everybody understands. Who is the her? The her is Babylon. Babylon was this great, prophesied to be this great, amazing place where all nations could come and gather together, and everybody could have their own belief and their own religion, and everybody could share ideas and get rich and get wealthy and do trade and commerce and business. And that's America today. America is the daughter, the virgin daughter of Babylon. America is the daughter of the Chaldeans. And the same way that Babylon fell and was destroyed, the Most High prophesied that this place was going to fall and be destroyed. Well, here in verse 38, it's talking about the drought that is upon this place. There is an economic drought that is smashing America right now. Been smashing America for years now, but now it's being realized. Now it's needing to be seen face to face. And that is why there are such extreme measures being taken by Donald Trump and by the powers that be in this country in order to try and salvage just a semblance of what America has stood for, the idea of what America was meant to represent. But as this place dries up, we have to realize that the Most High is the only one that is capable of sustaining us. Everybody understands. Let me see something. All right. So let's get Isaiah chapter 58, verse 11. Let's get Isaiah chapter 58, verse 10. Let's get Isaiah chapter 58, verse 10. All right. It's Isaiah 58 and 10, and it says, and if thou draw out thy soul to the hungry and satisfy the afflicted soul, then shall thy light rise in obscurity and thy darkness be as the noonday. All right. What is that talking about? It's talking about not sacrificing, but caring for those who are less fortunate than you, those who are suffering more than you. Everybody understands. To draw your soul to the hungry and satisfy the afflicted soul is like you finding the people that's hungry and you feeding them. You finding the soul that's been afflicted and you trying to heal. That's what the work of the men of God is in these days and times. There's a lot of our people that are starving physically and starving spiritually. A lot of our people who are hurt physically and hurt spiritually. The Lord is saying, draw out your soul to them. Go out to them and satisfy them. Give them what they need, right? Then shall thy light rise in obscurity and thy darkness be as the noonday. Meaning what? Your light is going to shine on the darkness or shine in the obscurity. For those who are confused and unsure, your light will shine and guide their way. The darkness that people are in, it'll be as the noonday. It'll be like the sun is high in the sky. They'll be able to see. They'll be able to understand. They'll be able to comprehend. That's why this work that we're doing is so important, because it is what's needed for the people who are blind and in darkness and hurt. Everybody understands. Then what? Verse 11. And the Lord shall guide thee continually and satisfy thy soul in drought and make fat thy bones, and thou shalt be like a watered garden and like a spring of water whose waters fail not. Everybody understands. In the midst of the drought, the Lord said he would satisfy us. He would make our bones fat, and we'll be like a watered garden. Not a garden in the midst of a drought, but a garden that is flourished and green and nourished and growing, and it'll be a beautiful thing. But in order for us to have that, what's required is that we do what the Lord said to do. What's required is that we gather together and be the people that he called us to be. What's required is that we, as we witness our oppressor falling and being in a drought, we are looking out for the people who have been hurt, the people who have been neglected, the people who have been abandoned, and taking care of them and giving them the word of the Lord. Like, as things continue to get worse in the house that's divided, the house that comes and stands on the word of the Lord is going to be able to survive in the midst of the storm. It's going to be able to be strong while the flood is rising and everybody is getting swept away. Now is the time for us to have a solid foundation, something that is real, not in believing the propaganda that's being spewed to us by politicians. If there ever was a time in life for you to realize and recognize that everything that you were taught about how beautiful democracy is or how wonderful the American experiment is, come on, man, that's out the window. Right now, we're living in a time where we're seeing, uh, I don't want to call it a regression, but America's transitioning from a democratic republic back into a what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, the word that describes going from a voted representative government to there being a emperor in charge. Like, Donald Trump is making himself the emperor of America. He's, it's going back to a monarchical, going back to a monarchy where there's one leader and everybody else falls in line under him, right? You can be knighted, you can be appointed to this position and to that position, but as far as the, voting and the checks and balances and all of that, that's going out the window. And that is what this last election was all about. It was about choosing if we're going to keep the system that we've been had or do we want something new. Our oppressor knew that when they were voting for Donald Trump, they knew exactly what they were voting for. They knew exactly what he was going to do. You turn on your news, you listen to what's going on with all these departments and all of these financial things and the trade and the tariffs. The people who are speaking on behalf of Donald Trump and speaking on behalf of all this government reform they're doing, they're saying the people, when they voted, this is what they voted for. The people that elected us, this is what they wanted. We're doing what they asked us to do. They said they wanted government reform. They said they wanted us to fix the spending problem. That's what we're doing. So now we're not going to wait for the court's approval. We're not going to wait for Congress to tell us yes. No, we're doing what the people asked us to do. And you have to understand that there's a large demographic in this country that is okay with everything that's going on. And if that's the case, what's wrong with the people that's not okay with it going on? What's wrong with the people that's standing in the way? What do they gain to lose from what it is that Donald Trump and them are doing? Then you got to hear what Donald Trump and them are saying out of their mouths has been going on. They're saying that there's been corruption and fraud and people stealing money from the government, and they're trying to stop it. Well, then, if that's the case, why are these people mad about what they're doing? Who wants the fraud to continue? Who wants the corruption to stay in place? Who wants for there to continue to be, you know, billions of dollars siphoned away from the government that nobody knows where it's going? If you can stand back and look at the dysfunction that exists from either side of the people that are fighting to be in charge of this country right now, wisdom would tell you, get the hell out of there. Wisdom would tell you neither side has anything good for you. Neither side can benefit you if you're Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian. Because the Democrats who are the corrupt people who've been frauding and stealing from the government, they put programs in place that will only allow for you to be, second class citizens, welfare recipients, people who can't do better, can't, have better for themselves. You need to have the government to be your daddy to tell you what to do, right? They also making sure you got programs to unalive your children, to make your daughters to be promiscuous women and your sons to be LGBTQ. And they have all the policies in place that are destroying your culture, your civilization. Then there's these other people that say we should get rid of all these programs and force these people to go back to being our servants and our slaves. Force them to be second class citizens. Let them, you can be as great as you want to be as long as you acknowledge you're under us. But goddamn, what kind of choice is that for you to be if you're Black in America, if you're Hispanic in America? You should be recognizing that neither side has anything good for us. So what should we do? We should gather together. We should separate ourselves. We should flee from them, fall away from this place, because the writing is on the wall that it's in its division, it's going to be destroyed. Everybody understands. Let's get Exodus 23 and 2. And again, this word of the Lord is, everything that we need in this time right now. It's everything that's necessary for us to have a solid foundation to be able to free ourselves from the multitude of deceptions that our oppressor has put out there for us to fall prey to. All right. So Exodus chapter 23, verse 2 says, "Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to wrest judgment." Everybody understands. Don't follow a multitude to do evil. On both sides of America right now, there's a multitude of evildoers. You ain't got to pick a side. You don't have to choose to fall on one side or the other. And I know there's a lot of pressure. I know there's a lot of our people that, if you don't have the truth, if you don't have the option of, serving the Lord and doing what's right, you could easily fall prey to choosing the lesser of two evils. I know for a fact if I was in the world, I would align myself with conservatives. I would align myself with the Republican Party. Why? Because I don't believe in unaliving children. I don't believe in the LGBTQ community and its growth and proliferation in our country. I don't believe in the sexual liberation of our women and the promotion of them, doing what they want to do and being how they want to be and living a sexually free lifestyle. I don't believe in all of these different welfare programs that allow our people to just sit around and collect checks from the government and never force them to have to, find ambition and have goals and to work hard to propel themselves in society. So I know for a fact if I was still in the world, I would be in hell spiritually and mentally because I would think that I'm aligned with Trump and them. But they hate me, hate my people, want us to be slaves. So what am I supposed to do? Damn. Do I hate my people? Do I hate us? Do I think we should be slaves? Hell no. But there's no way I could be on the side of the people that want to unalive our children and want our boys and girls to be, LGBTQ and freaks and nasty and doing whatever they want to do. So where do I fit in? Where do I go? When you have nowhere to fit in, when you have nowhere to go, that's when you turn to the Lord. But you don't follow a multitude to do evil. And you don't decline after many to rest after judgment. You don't tell people you shouldn't judge anybody for that. You shouldn't tell somebody they wrong for what they believe in and for what they think. Why shouldn't I? You're wrong if you believe that it's acceptable, for our young girls to be taught to be promiscuous and to unalive their children. You're wrong if you think it's okay to tell the victims of sexual assault and molestation that, they were not victims, they were born that way. So forget who harmed you and did horrible things to you when you were a child. If you now believe that you desire same-sex relations, it's nothing wrong with that. We don't have to examine you and look into your history and your past and find your trauma and treat you for it. Just be free. Be sexually liberated. This is an evil, evil, disgusting place and an evil, evil, disgusting time that we're living in. And the Lord wants for us to separate ourselves from this place. He wants us to get as far away from it as possible because the time is near where he is going to destroy it. All right. Let me get Amos chapter 9, verse 8. This is going to be the last scripture I pull for today. We're going to read Amos chapter 8, verse down to verse 12. All right. It's Amos chapter 9, verse 8. All right. Amos 9 and 8. Bear with me. Amos chapter 9, verse 8 says, Behold, the eyes of the Lord God are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth. That's what's taking place in America right now. The Lord is looking down on the sinful kingdom, and he's causing it to be divided, causing for a drought to come up, and in the end, he's going to destroy it from off the face of the earth. Saving, I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith the Lord. He meaning what? Except he's not going to completely destroy the house of Jacob. Who's Jacob? Children of Israel. For lo, I will command and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve. Yet shall not the least grain fall upon earth. So the Lord is going to sift us out of all these nations and make sure that we become separated from all of them. Right? Verse 10, all the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say the evil shall not overtake nor prevent us. That's the people who side with either side in America. You choose to ride hardcore for the Democrats. You choose to make America great again with the Republicans. You're going to die by the sword for choosing to be a part of the evil. You should not choose to be a lesser of two evils. You should choose to be the good. And choosing righteousness, choosing to serve the Lord, choosing to separate from our oppressor and their ideologies and their philosophies is the only way to choose righteousness. Everybody else is going to die by the sword. Verse 11, in that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen. What is the tabernacle of David? It's the rulership. It's the kingdom, the empire of David. That's Christ's kingdom, Christ's empire. How is the Lord going to raise up Christ's empire? By brothers and sisters receiving the truth. By us gathering together and coming back to the righteousness of the Lord, we establish the foundation for the kingdom of heaven to be built on. We establish the foundation for the tabernacle of David to be raised up again. And I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old, that they may possess the remnant of Edom and of all the heathen which are called by my name, saith the Lord that does this. So that is the future that is fast approaching. And as this country becomes more and more divided, and there's more and more destruction on the horizon, and there's more and more drought, the Lord is looking for his people to gather together so that we could be more and more united, more and more righteous, more and more strong, more and more closed in, so that it can pave way for the kingdom of Christ or the house of David to be reestablished and raised up, so that we could prepare to occupy and take as a possession all the remnant or the leftovers of the heathens that don't die in the coming war, that don't die in the coming battle, that aren't still fighting at the conclusion of this empire. We can only get to that place if we take heed to the word of the Lord. If we see the signs and see what it is that's taking place and recognize that the word of the Most High is true, and that once this place has become divided, there cannot be no reunification. There cannot be no coming together and salvaging what the Lord has said he's tearing apart. So choose to serve the Lord, man. Choose the side of righteousness. Choose to be the children that the Lord called us to be, so that he could be our power and deliver us out of the hands of our oppressor, and deliver our oppressor into the hands of our king, who is going to rule the earth. And with that, we're the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge out of 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York. Since 1969, we have been teaching so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians descend from the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. The Most High identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And in the year 2025, there's nothing more important than for God's chosen people to learn the truth of who we are, where we come from, and what our purpose is on the earth. And with that, you brothers and sisters tuning in, like, share, subscribe. Let everybody know about the work that the ISPK is doing under Commander General Yohana, and urge your people to get into the truth and to change their lives and to become the people the Lord called them to be, so that we could gather ourselves together, be strong and unified, and really lock in so we can endure the times to come. With that, I'll see y'all for class next time, Israel. Shalom.